Good morning, ma'am. We are the Group 5, and we are presenting the Visitation of the Gods. Author, Hilda Cordero Fernando. Author's background. She is a multi-awarded writer, publisher, and cultural icon from the Philippines. She was born in Manila, has a Bachelor of Arts from St. Teresa College, Manila, and a Master of Arts from the Ateneo de Manila University. Hilda Cordero Fernando was born on June 4, 1932. Cordero Fernando has two landmark collections of short stories, The Butcher, The Baker, and The Candlestick Maker on 1962 and A Wilderness of Sweets, 1973. These books have been compiled and reissued later as a story collection on 1994. Another book, Philippine Food and Life, was published in 1992. Together with Alfredo Roses, Cordero Fernando worked on Filipino Heritage, a volume 10 study on Philippine history and culture published by Lahing Pilipino in 1978. Afterwards, she founded GCF Books, which published a dozen titles that deals with various aspects of Philippine culture and society. Cordero Fernando has also worn numerous other hats as a visual artist, fashion designer, playwright, art curator, and producer. In February 2000, she produced a hugely successful extravaganza entitled Luna and Aswang Romance. Plot of the story. Exposition. The story starts when the janitor of the school gives a letter to the principal announcing the visitation of the superintendent, district supervisors, and division supervisors for purposes of inspection and evaluation. That happens every year. Right after the first period, the following morning classes were dismissed. The teaching staff and the student body were divided into 4 groups, with each group having a task. Making sure that the school will be beautiful and visitors will have a great time staying in the school. Rising action. Mr. Sawit asked for Miss Noel's opinion about the visitation. Miss Noel frankly says that everything is a farce because the superintendent and supervisors announced their visitation 1 month before as a sign to prepare for their arrival, and as a result, the supervisors will give high ratings because everything is rehearsed and prepared as a part of the 1 month preparation. Therefore, there is no use for inspection and evaluation because everything is staged. The conflict is introduced where the teacher, staff, and students have to meticulously arrange the school in a presentable manner. They have to endure and work into fine detail just to please the gods. Climax. Miss Noel complains that what matters is not how well one teaches but how well one has learned the art of pleasing the power that be, and it's the same all the way up. Mr. Sawit tells Miss Noel that being idealistic can't take her anywhere. He tells her that if she learns how to curb her tongue, then she will be recommended for a post in Manila where her talents will not be wasted, and he leaves with kiss on her forehead. The visitation turns out well, but then when the night came, Mr. Sawit, the new English supervisor, asked Miss Noel about the evaluation. And as an answer, Miss Noel frankly told Mr. Sawit that the evaluation was farce and funny because it's like scripted. It was announced a month before the visitation date, so the administrators had a chance to prepare and hide infirmities of respective schools. The results are usually far beyond the true state status or situation of schools because only good and best qualities are highlighted and bad or worse things are hidden. For Miss Noel, The whole activity was to make an expression and satisfying a group of assessors who are treated like gods, and flattery and gift-giving. Falling action. Miss Noel's aunt tells her to stop teaching for 100 times and that there was a need for export. She'll have the time of her life and she won't have the need to work hard for her position. Leon, a student of Miss Noel, comes in and she thought about the dream of her. Students are worried that if she leaves her job, the one would be there to guide her students. Miss Noel realized that those who sacrifice and dedicate their lives for the good of country usually end up giving nothing and having nothing. It seems that all those years she have been slave of the administration. In the end, it's always the children who will suffer. As she looks to the eyes of Leon, who is very willing to become a lawyer someday. Conclusion. After breakfast the next morning, the superintendent and supervisors were ready to leave and post a descending order hierarchy for souvenir photo before leaving. Miss Noel was late, but decides to keep her job and runs with pride and humility on the lowest rung of school's hierarchy. Setting: Pugadlawin High School before, during, and after the time of visitation. Characters of the story. Miss Noel, the main character of the story, a teacher who is beautiful and righteous. She doesn't try to achieve a higher position to getting a favor of her superiors. As a result, she isn't liked by some of the teachers in Pugadlawin. Mr. Albes, principal of Pugadlawin. Mrs. Albes, wife of Mr. Albes, she was not in a good term with Miss Noel, but after a certain lavatory incident, was able to forgive her. Mr. Ampel, former English supervisor who is looked up to by Miss Noel for his righteous ways. Mr. Alava, the superintendent. Mr. Albes want to impress him during his inspection in Pugadlawin. Mr. Sawit, the new English supervisor, who replaced Mr. Ampel. He is shown to be someone who doesn't hesitate to use his authority for his personal intentions. He knows Mr. Alaba personally. Minor characters. Mrs. Divina Gracia, Home Economic Teacher. Mr. Baz, National Language Teacher. Mr. De La Dios, Physics Teacher. Leon, a student of Miss Noel. Moral of the story. Love is always a matter of deeds and service, and not just sweet words and good intentions. This eagerness to serve would really identify us with Christ, who is our way, truth, and life. He being God became man to save us, the greatest service anyone can do. The summary. The short story is about the reality of the process of death of Filipino idealism in the administration of the public schools. It shows the difficulties of sustaining one's interest and motivation in improving the standards of education in the country. The story also exposes the Filipino mentality towards competition.